Hi friends, it is April 2023 and the beginning of the financial year where all of us from the salaried class, people who are earning an active income from their jobs will have to decide whether to go for the old tax regime or the new tax regime. Now, if you want to take your decision to decide whether to go for the old or the new, you can watch the video provided in the description box wherein I have provided an illustrative example of who benefits most from the old tax regime and who benefits most from the new tax regime. And you can continue watching further. I'll share a few tips of how you can take your decision whether to go for the old or the new in this specific video, as well as a thumb rule I will be sharing in this specific video. So before we understand whether to go for the old or the new, let us understand the changes done in the budget 2023 to help us make our tax planning more effective. So let us understand what are the six major positives of budget 2023 which will help us manage our taxes effectively, and three negatives. Well, I wouldn't say directly as a negative, but it's some of the pointers you need to be aware of as part of the tax planning activity or in order to manage your taxes more efficiently. So now let us see what are the six major positives and what are the three major negatives. And before you forget, and before I forget to mention to you, please share it to your friends, relatives, so that they can also gain advantage to understand what are the major changes in budget 2023 and also decide upon for themselves whether to go for the old or the new tax regime in my other video which is provided in the description box. So please share, subscribe before I don't have to mention it again. Okay, so let us see what are the six major positives. The first major positive is that there is no changes in the old tax regime. The old tax regime continues to remain the way it is. Why it's supposed to be positive? Well, no change sometimes is good for a person, isn't it? It's always said if there is no change, it's a good thing. So that is why I included it as part of the positive. But nevertheless, it's a neutral point. It is neither an advantage, neither a disadvantage. So neutral point, that is the first point, that there are no changes in the old tax regime. In the second point, the second major change, which is a positive of budget 2023, is that the new tax regime has been made more attractive for the people. So what is the attractiveness in the new tax regime? The attractiveness is that in the new tax regime, your tax slab has been increased to 3 lakhs. That means up to 3 lakhs you pay zero taxes. And in the old tax regime, up to 2.5 lakhs you pay zero taxes. And subsequently, the increase in the tax slabs, you will notice that in the new tax regime, the increase is at a level of 3 lakhs per slab, and the rate also increases by about 5 percentage points for each of the tax slabs, unlike the old tax regime. And I showed it on the screen so that you can compare for yourself between the old and the new tax regime. So that was the second benefit as part of the new revised tax regime. The third benefit, which is also part of the new revised tax regime, is that if you are earning an income of 7 lakhs or 7.5 lakhs, then you also pay no taxes. But if you are earning an income of 9 lakhs, it doesn't mean that up to 7 lakhs is exempted from taxes. You will fall right under the new tax regime tax slabs accordingly, whatever tax slabs are mentioned as part of the new tax regime. But if you are earning only 7 lakhs or only 7.5 lakhs, then the entire 7.5 lakhs or entire 7 lakhs is exempted from taxes. That means you pay zero taxes if you are a 7 lakh income earner. So that brings me to the fourth positive of 2023 budget. So the fourth positive is that you can avail a standard deduction of 50,000 in the new tax regime. It was not there as part of the earlier new tax regime. In the revised new tax regime, you can avail a standard deduction of 50,000, which is already part of the old tax regime. As a matter of fact, it is now introduced as part of the new revised tax regime. Hence, in the previous advantage point, that was the third advantage point which I mentioned 7 to 7.5 lakh. The reason is because the 7.5 lakh, the 0.5 lakhs, 50,000 comes from the standard deduction which is being provided as part of the new revised tax regime. That was the fourth major positive as part of 2023. Now that brings me to the fifth major positive of budget 2023. The fifth major positive of budget 2023 is your leave encashment. The leave encashment which you can avail has been increased from 3 lakhs to 25 lakhs. So I meant that up to 25 lakhs of leave encashment is tax exempted. So if you're planning your favorite vacation and you're planning to encash your leaves, and if you get a total leave encashment value of 25 lakhs, it is totally tax exempted. And beyond 25 lakhs, then that delta amount beyond that will be introduced as part of your tax slab and you'll be taxed accordingly. That was the fifth major advantage. The sixth and the last major plus of budget 2023 is that the senior savings scheme, the senior citizen savings scheme, the limit of investment has been increased up to 30 lakhs. So senior citizens can now save more up to 30 lakhs capping and get a benefit of 8% interest, which is as of today, which is being paid out as part of the senior citizen savings scheme. So I hope you have understood what are the 6 major positives. And if you have not understood, as a matter of fact, you can drop in a comment and I'll be glad to explain in words in the comment as a response to your particular query. So now that brings me to the second aspect of this video, the second aspect of this particular session. What are the 3 negatives, or what are the 3 points which you need to be aware of as part of budget 2023 so that you can manage your taxes well? The first negative, or something that you need to be aware of, is that if you are investing into a foreign asset, then you will have to pay 20% tax at source. But however, certain other aspects, for example medical as well as education, is exempted for 20% tax payment, but they will have to pay taxes of up to around 5% depending on whether it is self-funded education or whether they have taken loans from an institution for funding their education. And then you have the medical aspect as well, that is also about 5% or so. And you can, I think there's a lot of content out there on the social media which explains you what are the taxations which you have to pay at source if you're doing a foreign investment or you're planning to travel on a foreign tour. So that aspect, the first aspect of negative, you need to be aware of whenever you're doing a foreign related transaction. Make sure you keep in mind 20% taxes will be collected at source for any foreign contribution. So now that brings me to the second aspect of negative which you need to be aware of before you invest into your insurance policies. So after budget 2023, it has been decided that all the premiums which are going to be paid as part of the new premiums coming as part of 1st of April 2023 onwards, then if the aggregate premiums exceed more than 5 lakhs for the year, then the maturity benefits or whatever income you would be deriving from the insurance policies, that would be taxed if the premiums exceed 5 lakhs. But however, if the total aggregate premium is less than 5 lakhs, then the proceeds of the life insurance or whatever insurance policies may be there, those proceeds would be exempted if it is less than 5 lakhs. So just as a reiteration, total aggregate premiums for the year less than 5 lakhs, then the proceeds coming out of the insurance is not taxed. And if the life insurance premium is exceeding more than 5 lakhs for that financial year, then you'll have to pay taxes on the total income you're deriving from the maturity benefit. This excludes the benefit upon death. So if there is a death in the family or whatever it might be, so then that particular insurance proceeds of the particular insurance policies would be exempted from tax if it is upon a death. So that was the second major kind of a thing which you need to be aware of before you're taking your investing decision to invest into certain policies with respect to the premiums paid for the financial year. So what is the final major negative as part of budget 2023? The final negative of budget 2023 is that they have introduced a capping on capital gains made derived out of sale of a property to buy another property. So that means earlier there was no limit on the capital gains. You could sell a property and buy another property to completely completely get a benefit of capital gain. So that means you have to pay zero taxes on the capital gain if you sell the property and buy another property worth the same value or more than that particular value. But in budget 2023, now they have capped it up to 10 crores. So beyond 10 crores of capital gains, you would have to pay taxes. So that was all as part of budget 23 that you had to be aware of as a salaried person or a retired person, so that you can take maximum benefit out of the updates or of the changes done in budget 2023. And do not miss my subsequent video or the video provided in the link in the description box, so that you can decide for yourself whether to go for the old tax regime or whether you should go for the new tax regime. Thumb rule, you need to remember that if your investment in tax saving avenues is more than 2 lakhs, that means after paying HRA, housing interest, etc., if it turns out to be more than 2 lakhs, then it is most suggestible to opt for the old tax regime. Or if it is lesser than 2 lakhs or 2 lakhs, then it is better suggested to go for the revised new tax regime. So you can do your own analysis after discussing with your financial planner, see which is most cost effective, which is more tax effective for you, or you can watch my subsequent video as well to get a perspective of which tax regime is more beneficial. So that was all in this particular session, and share and subscribe before you forget. See you. Bye.